The massive council chamber felt empty despite being filled with hundreds of alien beings. The silence was wrong and everyone knew it. For 30 years, the human section had buzzed with quiet conversations and the soft clicking of their strange devices. Now those seats sat empty like missing teeth in a smile. Chancellor Zephyria shifted her crystalline body, and the light bounced off her surfaces in nervous patterns. She had called this emergency meeting 3 days ago, when the humans simply vanished from all diplomatic contact. The last message came from Ambassador Kang Minho during what should have been a routine trade discussion. He had stood up from his chair, looked directly at her, and spoke words that still echoed in her memory. Humanity withdraws from all galactic diplomatic proceedings effective immediately. Then he walked out. Every human in the station followed him. They boarded their ships and left without another word. Since then, nothing. Complete silence from every human colony, every human ship, every human outpost across the galaxy. Councillor Brathen of the Gorthak delegation slammed his scaled fist on the metal table. The sound rang through the chamber like a bell. His red eyes glowed with anger as he spoke in his harsh voice. This is clearly a negotiation tactic. The humans want something and think silence will make us desperate enough to give it to them. We should send ships to their space and demand answers. Several other councillors nodded in agreement, but Zephyria noticed the Nexari representative remained perfectly still. The energy being called Luminara usually glowed brighter when she was thinking hard. Now her light seemed dim and troubled. Luminara, your people can read thoughts across vast distances. What do you sense from human space? The Nexari's voice was like music when she finally spoke. That is the problem, Chancellor. We sense nothing. No human thoughts anywhere in the galaxy. This should be impossible. Even when humans sleep, their minds create patterns we can detect. Now there is only void where they should be. A chill ran through the chamber. The Corvin Federation representative, a large insect creature named Skittix, made clicking sounds of distress. His hive mind was used to constant mental contact with billions of his kind. The idea of complete mental silence terrified him. Perhaps they have developed some kind of mental shielding, suggested Dr. Vorthak from the Althurian Empire. His blue skin rippled with concern. Humans are known for their technological innovations. Zephyria activated the main communication array and tried once again to contact Earth directly. The signal traveled through the quantum relay network that connected all major worlds. Usually the response came back within minutes. This time the message simply vanished into the void. No response, no acknowledgement, nothing. Try the human colonies, she ordered her aide. One by one they attempted contact with New Seoul Busan Station, the mining worlds of the Daegu system. Every attempt met the same result. Silence. Thousands of light years away on Earth, President Park Ji-soo sat in a secure command center deep beneath the city of Seoul. The room hummed with activity, as dozens of technicians monitored screens showing the galaxy. She could see every alien ship, every communication attempt, every confused meeting happening across known space. Admiral Lee Tae-yang approached her chair. His uniform was crisp and his face showed no emotion despite the magnitude of what they were doing. Protocol Silent Storm is fully active, Madam President. All human assets have gone dark. The aliens are starting to panic just as we predicted. Park Ji-soo nodded slowly. She had been planning this moment for 15 years, ever since she was a junior diplomat and first realized how the galactic community really worked. The aliens saw humans as useful junior partners, good for handling dangerous tasks and providing clever solutions to problems. They never saw humans as equals, and they certainly never saw them as a threat. What about our deep cover agents? She asked, still in place and undetected. Dr. Kim Minji continues her work with the Veltari Medical Research Team. Captain Choi Hyasung maintains her position as a trade ship captain. The aliens suspect nothing because they never thought to look closely at humans in the first place. The president smiled, but there was no warmth in it. Good. Let them wonder. Let them worry. 30 years we have been patient. 30 years we have learned their weaknesses and mapped their systems. Now we see if all that patience was worth it. Back on the council station, The emergency session continued. Species after species reported the same thing. Humans had simply vanished from galactic society overnight. Trade ships scheduled to arrive at human ports found empty space. Research projects involving human scientists had ground to a halt when their human colleagues failed to report for duty. The economic implications were already becoming clear. Counselor Yex of the Traders Guild presented a holographic display showing shipping routes across the galaxy. Red lines marked paths that had gone dark. 30% of our shipping routes used human navigators or human-designed guidance systems. Without them, we cannot guarantee safe passage through the Magellan Nebula or the asteroid fields of Kepler. Trade between the outer rim and core worlds will be severely impacted. Surely we can find alternate routes, suggested Brathen. Yex's tentacles writhed in frustration. The alternate routes add months to journey times and pass through pirate territories. The humans found paths that others considered impossible to navigate. We never learned those routes because we relied on their expertise. The meeting continued for hours, with each revelation making the situation more dire. Humans had quietly become essential to galactic civilization in ways no one had realized. They maintained critical systems, operated in dangerous regions others avoided, and provided services that kept the galaxy running smoothly. As the various species argued and worried, none of them noticed the small ship that watched them from the shadows. Captain Choi Hee-sung sat in the command chair of her vessel, the Inchin's Pride, and listened to every word through devices her human engineers had secretly installed throughout the station years ago. Her ship was invisible to alien sensors thanks to technology that humanity had been developing in secret for decades. She had been watching alien military movements and listening to their communications for months, gathering intelligence that would soon prove invaluable. Captain, her communications officer spoke quietly. We are receiving a coded transmission from Admiral Lee. Put it through. Li Taiyang's voice came through the encrypted channel. Phase 1 is complete. All humans are safely extracted or in deep cover positions. The aliens are confused but not yet desperate. How long until they start making serious mistakes? Choi Hye-sung studied the data flowing across her screens. Based on their shipping schedules and supply requirements, I estimate 2 weeks before minor problems become major crises, 3 weeks before they start taking desperate measures. Understood. Continue monitoring. Report any significant developments. The transmission ended, and Choi Hye-sung returned her attention to the council chamber. Through the hidden cameras, she could see Chancellor Zephyria trying to maintain order, as various species blamed each other for the human disappearance. What the aliens did not know was that humanity had been preparing for this moment since first contact. Every human diplomat was also an intelligence agent. Every human trader was also a scout. Every human scientist was also a saboteur waiting for the right moment. The galaxy was about to learn that humans were far more dangerous when they were silent than when they were talking. And this silence was just the beginning. As the council session finally ended with no solutions and more questions than answers, ships began departing the station in all directions. Alien species rushed back to their home worlds to deal with the growing crisis of human disappearance. None of them saw the small human ship that followed them into the darkness, watching and waiting for the perfect moment to reveal what humanity was truly capable of when pushed too far. 2 weeks had passed since the humans vanished, and the galaxy was starting to crack. What began as confusion was becoming panic as the true extent of human integration into galactic society became clear. Systems that had worked perfectly for decades were failing one by one. On the water world of Althuria Prime, emergency sirens wailed across the floating cities. The massive water purification plants that kept billions of aquatic beings alive were shutting down. Dr. Vorthak swam frantically between control panels, his blue skin pale with fear. "Where is Kwan Hyunwoo?" he shouted at his engineering team. "The human engineer should be here. He designed these systems, only he knows how to fix them." His assistant, a young Althurian named Coral, checked the communication logs again. "Sir, we have sent hundreds of messages to human space. No responses. We tried to contact his home colony, but there is only silence." Vorthak stared at the readouts showing toxin levels rising in the water supply. The systems had worked flawlessly for 10 years. Yunwu had built them to be self-maintaining, requiring only basic oversight. Now alarms flashed red across every screen, and none of the Althurian engineers understood the deeper workings of the technology. "Sir?" Coral's voice was barely a whisper. "If we cannot restore the purification systems within 3 days, the water will become poisonous to our people." Similar scenes played out across the galaxy. In the Corvin Federation, the great hive ships drifted dead in space. Their supply networks had collapsed overnight when the human logistics companies simply vanished. Queen Skiddix felt the distress of billions of her children as food shortages began on the outer colonies. "The humans ran our shipping schedules," she explained to her advisors, her mandibles clicking with anxiety. "They said our hive mind thinking was too rigid for dynamic logistics. We trusted them to handle the complexity." Her chief advisor, a drone called Worker Prime 7, consulted the data banks. "Majesty, our food reserves will last perhaps another week. After that, entire colonies will begin to starve." "Send ships to human space," the Queen ordered. "Find them. Force them to help us." "We have tried, Majesty. Our ships cannot locate their colonies. The navigation data we have on file leads to empty systems. It is as if they were never there." Meanwhile, in the research stations orbiting various worlds, scientific progress had ground to a halt. Dr. Yoon Sang-hoon had been the coordinator for dozens of research projects involving multiple species. Without his guidance, teams that had worked together for years found themselves unable to communicate effectively or share data. On Velthari Station, crystalline scientists stared at equipment they could no longer operate. The diagnostic tools had been designed by humans, but the Velthari had never bothered to learn how they worked. They simply followed the procedures Sang-hoon had provided. "The quantum resonance chamber is producing error codes we do not understand," reported Dr. Crystal Song of Dawn. "The human Dr. Yoon always handled technical problems. We focused on theory while he managed practical applications." Her colleague, Bright Edge of Knowledge, checked their research files. "Most of our recent breakthroughs came from combining our theoretical work with human engineering solutions. Without their input, we cannot progress." The economic impact was spreading like a virus through the galactic trade networks. The Traders Guild found themselves facing the worst crisis in their history. Ships that had relied on human-designed navigation systems were getting lost in hyperspace. Cargo that should have taken days to deliver was taking weeks as vessels were forced to use older, less efficient routes. Guildmaster Yex called an emergency meeting of all major trading houses. The holographic displays showed red warning lights across half the known galaxy. "Profit margins have collapsed," he announced to the assembled traders. "Ships are taking 3 times longer to reach their destinations. Some routes are completely impassable without human navigators." "What about hiring navigators from other species?" suggested one trader. "We tried. The Gorthak military navigators are trained only for combat missions in familiar space. The Nexari can sense hyperspace currents but lack the technical knowledge to plot safe courses. Only humans seem to combine intuitive navigation skills with precise technical calculations." Captain Choi Hee-sung watched the chaos unfold from her invisible ship. Her sensors picked up distress signals from dozens of alien vessels lost in hyperspace. Trade convoys that had departed weeks ago were overdue and presumed lost. The economic backbone of galactic civilization was breaking. "Captain," her tactical officer reported, "we are detecting increased military activity near the border systems. The Gorthak are mobilizing their fleets." Choi Hyesung smiled grimly. "They think this is a prelude to war. They cannot imagine that humans would simply walk away from galactic civilization unless we were planning something aggressive." Her ship moved silently through space, its advanced stealth systems making it invisible to all known sensor technologies. The technology had been developed in secret human research facilities, based on principles that aliens had not yet discovered. The humans had spent 30 years studying alien technology and improving upon it. Every joint research project had been an opportunity to learn alien secrets while revealing as little as possible about human capabilities. Now that patience was paying off, on Earth, President Park Jisoo reviewed reports from across the galaxy. Admiral Lee Taiyang stood beside her, reading data from a tablet. "The Althurians will run out of clean water in 2 days," he reported. The Corvin food distribution network has collapsed completely. Trade volume is down 70% and falling. What about military responses? Park Jisoo asked. The Gorthak are mobilizing 3 battle fleets. They suspect we are preparing for invasion. Several other species are beginning to arm their border defenses. Park Jisoo nodded. Fear makes them predictable. How many alien ships have attempted to enter human space? 17 scouting missions in the past week. All have been quietly disabled, and their crews returned to neutral space with their memories altered. They report finding nothing but empty systems. The memory alteration technology was another human secret. Developed from studying Nexari telepathic abilities, it allowed human agents to modify alien memories without leaving traces. The alien scouts genuinely believed they had found nothing in human space. Dr. Kim Minji continued her work at the Velthari Medical Research Facility, maintaining her cover as a simple human xenobiologist. What her alien colleagues did not know was that she had been secretly documenting every aspect of their biology and medical technology. Dr. Minji called her Velthari colleague. The quantum medical scanners are malfunctioning. Can you assist us? Minji pretended to study the readings with concern. This appears to be a cascade failure in the harmonic resonance matrix. I have seen similar problems before, but the solution requires specialized human equipment. Can you contact your people for assistance? I have tried repeatedly, but there is no response from human space. Something serious must have happened. What her colleagues did not realize was that Minji had designed the medical scanners herself, using technology far in advance of what aliens possessed. The malfunctions were programmed to activate during humanity's withdrawal, making alien medical research impossible without human assistance. Similar scenes played out wherever humans had worked closely with alien species. Critical systems began failing as hidden kill switches activated. Research projects stalled as alien scientists discovered they had been dependent on human expertise they never understood. In the depths of space, Commander Nam Ji-woo led a task force of 12 invisible human ships. They shadowed alien military movements, gathering intelligence on fleet dispositions and communication protocols. The aliens had no idea they were being watched. Commander, reported his intelligence officer, the Gorthak are planning a reconnaissance, in force into the Kepler sector. They believe human colonies are hidden there. Let them look, Nam Ji-woo replied. They will find exactly what we want them to find. The human colonies the Gorthak hoped to discover had been moved months ago to systems not appearing on any galactic charts. What remained were elaborate decoys designed to confuse and mislead any alien investigations. As the second week of human silence ended, the galactic economy was in free fall. Species that had enjoyed prosperity for decades found themselves facing shortages of food, medicine, and essential supplies. The sophisticated supply chains that connected thousands of worlds had depended on human logistics expertise that was now gone. Chancellor Zephyria received reports from across the galaxy. Each one painted the same picture of growing crisis and desperation. What had started as diplomatic confusion was becoming an existential threat to galactic civilization. The humans had been more important than anyone realized. They had become the invisible glue holding the galaxy together. Now that they were gone, everything was falling apart. And still, complete silence from human space. No demands, no negotiations, no explanations. Just the terrible quiet of a species that had decided it no longer wanted to talk. 3 weeks into the silence and the galaxy was dying. What had started as confusion and grown into crisis was now becoming catastrophe. On Althuria Prime, the first deaths had begun as the water purification systems completely failed. Dr. Vorthak watched helplessly as emergency crews worked to distribute the last reserves of clean water. How long? He asked his chief medical officer. Perhaps 2 days before the toxins become lethal, came the grim reply. We are trying to boil and filter water manually, but we cannot process enough for our population. Across the Althurian Empire, similar scenes played out on dozens of worlds. The elegant water cities that had housed billions for centuries were becoming death traps. Emergency broadcasts called for evacuation. but there was nowhere to go and not enough ships to carry everyone. In the Corvin Federation, entire hive colonies had gone silent. Queen Skittix felt the death screams of millions of her children as starvation spread through the outer systems. The sophisticated just-in-time delivery network that had fed her people for generations was gone, and her hive mind could not adapt quickly enough to replace it. Send every available ship to human space, she commanded her drones. Find them, bring them back by force if necessary. Her military advisor, Battle Prime 3, clicked his mandibles nervously. Majesty, our ships cannot locate human colonies. The star charts we have show empty systems. It is as if humans never existed. The Galactic Council met in permanent emergency session. Chancellor Zephyria's crystalline form had lost much of its luster as stress fractured her surface structure. Around the great chamber, representatives of dozens of species shouted demands and accusations. "This is an act of war," declared Councillor Braithen, his red eyes blazing with fury. "The humans have clearly planned this assault on galactic civilization. We must respond with military force." "With what military force?" snapped Yex from the Traders Guild. "Half our defense fleets cannot operate properly without human technical support. The targeting systems on our newest warships were co-developed with human companies, and they are mysteriously malfunctioning." This was true, and everyone in the chamber knew it. Admiral Korax of the Gorthak war fleet had discovered this harsh reality when he tried to mobilize for action. Ships that had performed perfectly in war games were now suffering cascade failures in their weapon systems. "The humans must have installed hidden programming in our defense networks," he reported grimly. "Our most advanced vessels are operating at perhaps 60% efficiency." Chancellor Zephyria called for order, but her voice lacked its usual authority. "We must try diplomatic contact again. Send messages on all frequencies. Offer whatever the humans want." "We have been trying for 3 weeks," replied her aide. "Our messages simply vanish into the void. It is as if human space has become a hole in the universe." What the aliens did not know was that their messages were being received and carefully analyzed. In the command center beneath Seoul, President Park Ji-soo read each desperate plea with cold satisfaction. "The Althurians are offering us exclusive mining rights to their deuterium field," reported her communications director. "The Corvin Queen promises to share their hive mind biotechnology if we will just resume food shipments," added another aide, Admiral. Li Taeyang studied the reports with clinical interest. "The Ethereal Collective is even more desperate. They are offering to make humans their junior partners in governing their atmospheric worlds." Park Ji-soo laughed, but there was no humor in the sound. "Junior partners. After 30 years of treating us like useful servants, they still think we want to be junior partners." The president activated a holographic display showing the galaxy. Red zones marked areas where infrastructure was failing. Yellow zones showed economic collapse. Green zones, representing stable regions, were shrinking rapidly. "How much longer? Until complete breakdown?" she asked. Li Taeyang consulted his tactical analysis. "At current rates, perhaps another week before major population centers begin experiencing mass casualties. 2 weeks before some species face possible extinction." "And our deep cover assets? Still in place and undetected." Dr. Kim Minji reports that Velthari medical research has stopped completely. Captain Choi Hee-sung confirms that alien shipping is down 80%. Commander Nam Ji-woo's surveillance shows increasing military panic across all major species. In space above the Council station, invisible human ships watched and recorded everything. Captain Choi Hye-sung had moved her vessel closer to monitor alien communications directly. Her advanced sensors picked up encrypted military transmissions between various fleets. "Captain," her intelligence officer reported, "the Gorthak are planning Operation Crimson Fang. They intend to send a battle fleet into the Tau Ceti system looking for human colonies." Choi Hye-sung checked her star charts. Tau Ceti was indeed listed in old galactic records as a human colony location. What the Gorthak did not know was that it had been abandoned years ago and replaced with automated defense platforms. "Let them go," she decided. "They are about to learn that human space is more dangerous than they imagine." The Gorthak battle fleet consisted of 12 heavy cruisers and 40 escort vessels. Admiral Corax commanded from his flagship, the Pride of Gorthak. His crew was nervous but determined as they approached the Tau Ceti system. "Admiral," reported his sensor officer, "we are detecting artificial structures in orbit around the fourth planet. It appears to be a space station of human design." Corax smiled, showing his sharp reptilian teeth. "Finally, open communication channels. Demand they surrender and provide answers for their species' betrayal of the galactic community." The communication beam struck the space station, but instead of a response, something else happened. The station suddenly powered up and revealed itself to be far larger than initial scans had suggested. Massive weapon batteries emerged from hidden compartments. "Admiral," his tactical officer's voice was filled with panic, "those are not human weapons. The energy signatures are completely unknown. Power readings are off our sensors." The automated defense platform spoke in perfect Gorthak. "This is Human Defense Platform Sigma-7. You are trespassing in restricted space. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences." Admiral Corax snarled with rage. "Fire all weapons. Destroy that station." The Gorthak fleet opened fire with everything they had. Plasma cannons, quantum torpedoes, and particle beam weapons struck the human platform. The bombardment that should have vaporized any known structure barely scratched the platform's surface. Then the platform fired back. The weapons that emerged were beyond anything in galactic science. Beams of impossible energy tore through Gorthak's shields like paper. 3 heavy cruisers were destroyed in the first volley. The rest of the fleet found their engines disabled by some form of technology that their scientists could not even identify. "Retreat," Corax shouted. "All ships retreat immediately." But retreat was impossible. The human platform had disabled their hyperspace drives with surgical precision. The surviving Gorthak ships were trapped, completely helpless before technology that seemed centuries ahead of their own. "This is Platform Sigma-7, the calm voice announced. "Your crews will be evacuated and returned to Gorthak space. Your ships will be destroyed to prevent intelligence gathering. Consider this a lesson in the consequences of aggressive action against humanity." Escape pods launched from the disabled Gorthak vessels just before the ships exploded in brilliant flashes of light. The pods were caught by tractor beams and gently launched toward Gorthak space at high speed. When the survivors reached home and reported what had happened, the news sent shockwaves through every alien military. The humans possessed weapons technology that made their best defenses useless. If this was what a single automated platform could do, what about their main fleets? Back in the council chamber, the mood had shifted from anger to terror. The report from Admiral Corax's survivors painted a picture of human technological superiority that no one had suspected. "They have been hiding their true capabilities for 30 years, Chancellor Zephyria said quietly. "We never saw them as a threat because they chose not to appear threatening." Counselor Braithen's earlier bravado was gone. "If their automated defenses can destroy a Gorthic battle fleet, what chance do we have against their main forces?" The question hung in the air like a death sentence. Across the galaxy, alien military leaders reviewed their defense plans and found them wanting. Economic collapse was bad enough, but the revelation of human military superiority made their situation hopeless. Dr. Kim Minji continued her work at the Velthari research station, pretending to be as confused and worried as her alien colleagues. What they did not know was that she carried a communication device that allowed her to coordinate with human command. "The Velthari are discussing surrender," she reported in a coded transmission. "They believe their crystal technology might interest humans enough to earn them favorable treatment." Professor Oh Min-seok worked alone in his archaeological laboratory, supposedly studying ancient ruins. In reality, he was preparing for the next phase of humanity's plan. The ruins he studied were indeed ancient, but they were not from some mysterious first civilization. They were human, and soon every alien species in the galaxy would learn the true history of who had built their civilization. 5 weeks had passed since humanity vanished, and the galaxy was drowning in chaos. Emergency broadcasts filled the communication networks as species after species reported complete infrastructure collapse. The Althurian Empire had lost 3 water worlds to toxic contamination. The Corvin Federation was facing mass starvation across dozens of colonies. Even the mighty Gorthak military was reduced to escorting food convoys with ships that barely functioned. In a hidden facility deep beneath the Korean peninsula, Captain Seo Ji-hoon of Human Intelligence reviewed intercepted alien communications. His team had been monitoring every signal in the galaxy for decades, building a complete picture of alien capabilities and weaknesses. "Sir," his communications officer reported, "we have intercepted planning documents for Operation Final Hope. The Galactic Council is preparing a combined fleet of all species to force entry into human space." Seo Ji-hoon smiled as he read the alien plans. "They still think this is about territory or resources. They cannot imagine that we simply decided they were not worth talking to anymore." The captain activated a secure channel to Earth Command. Admiral Lee Taeyang's face appeared on the screen, looking tired but satisfied. "Admiral, the aliens are planning their desperate last gamble. Should we continue to let them exhaust themselves or move to Phase 2? Lee Taeyang checked his tactical displays. "The President has authorized Phase 2. It is time to show them exactly what they have been dealing with for the past 30 years. What the aliens did not know was that every major breakthrough in galactic technology for the past 3 decades had human fingerprints on it. The quantum communication networks that connected their worlds had been designed by human engineers working under alien oversight. The hyperspace navigation systems that allowed fast travel between stars were based on human mathematical models. Even the basic power systems that ran their cities incorporated human innovations. Dr. Han Sujin sat in a secret research station hidden in the asteroid belt of an unnamed system. Around her, holographic displays showed the locations of thousands of installations across the galaxy. Ancient ruins that aliens believed were left by some mythical first civilization. Archaeological sites that had puzzled alien scientists for generations. "Initiate protocol revelation," she commanded her team. Across the galaxy, ancient structures that had been dormant for millennia suddenly powered up. On Velthari Prime, the crystal spires that aliens thought were natural formations began to glow with inner light. On Gorthak Homeworld, the massive stone pyramids that had stood silent for eons started humming with energy. The ethereal collectives, gas giant worlds saw their atmospheric processors activate systems that had been hidden for hundreds of thousands of years. Massive machines buried deep in planetary cores came online, revealing technology so advanced that current galactic science could not even understand its basic principles. Chancellor Zephyria received the first reports from her homeworld with disbelief. "The ancient spires are active? That is impossible. They have been studied for generations. They are just crystal formations." Her science advisor's voice shook with confusion. "Chancellor, the energy readings are beyond our instrument's ability to measure. These structures are not natural. They are machines of incredible sophistication." Similar reports flooded in from across the galaxy. Every major world had ancient structures that were suddenly revealing themselves to be dormant technology. The implications were staggering. Professor Oh Min-seok finally revealed his true purpose as he stood before the great assembly of archaeologists on the neutral world of Academia Prime. The holographic audience included the leading experts from every species in the galaxy. "Honored colleagues," he began, his voice carrying clearly through the chamber. "For 30 years I have worked among you studying the ruins you call the first civilization. Today I must share a truth that will change your understanding of galactic history." He activated a holographic display showing archaeological sites across known space. The pattern was clear once you knew what to look for. The sites formed a network of installations, each one placed at a strategically important location. "These ruins are not from some mysterious vanished race, they are human. Built by my ancestors hundreds of thousands of years ago when humanity first reached the stars." The chamber erupted in shocked voices and confused protests. Oh Min-seok waited for quiet before continuing. "The humans you have known for 30 years are not primitives reaching for the stars. We are the descendants of colonists who lost contact with our stellar empire. We have been rediscovering our own technology while watching you build civilizations on the foundations we left behind." Dr. Korvex of the Velthari stood up, his crystal body flashing with agitation. "This is impossible. Our analysis of the ruins shows they are millions of years old. Your analysis is incorrect, Ominseok replied calmly. The dating methods you use were developed by human scientists working with your people. We ensured the results would support the timeline we wanted you to believe. On Earth, President Park Ji-soo watched the broadcast with satisfaction. The revelation was spreading across the galaxy as alien scientists frantically re-examined their assumptions about ancient history. Begin Phase 3, she ordered. Admiral Bae Yoonji commanded the human task force from her flagship, Seoul's Vengeance. For 5 weeks her ships had remained hidden in the void between stars, invisible to alien sensors. Now she received the order she had been waiting for. All ships, decloak and move to designated positions. Across the galaxy, human vessels appeared as if from nowhere. They materialized in orbit around major alien worlds, their sleek designs unlike anything in galactic databases. The technology that made them invisible was based on principles that alien science had not yet discovered. The Seoul's Vengeance appeared directly above the Galactic Council station. It was massive, larger than any alien dreadnought, its hull gleaming with weapon systems that seemed to bend space around them. Chancellor Zephyria stared at the impossible ship through her office window. Her security forces had detected nothing, until it simply appeared, floating silently above their heads like a predator. "Open a channel," Admiral Bae commanded. Her image appeared on screens throughout the station. She wore the crisp uniform of the human Star Navy, her expression calm and confident. "I am Admiral Bae Yoonji of the Terran Defense Force. By order of the human government, this station is now under our protection. All alien military vessels will withdraw beyond the orbital perimeter immediately." Counselor Brathen pushed forward, his reptilian features twisted with rage. "You cannot simply claim jurisdiction over neutral space. The Galactic Council has authority here." Admiral Bae's smile was cold. "The Galactic Council has no authority that humanity does not choose to recognize. You exist by our sufferance, nothing more." To prove her point, she activated the ship's defensive screens. Energy barriers appeared around the Council station, powered by technology that made alien shields look primitive. Any ship that tried to approach would find itself unable to penetrate the human defenses. Meanwhile, Dr. Kim Minji finally dropped her disguise at the Velthari research facility. Her alien colleagues watched in shock as she activated devices they had never seen before. "Dr. Minji," called Dr. Crystal Song of Dawn. "What are you doing?" "My job," Minji replied. "I have been monitoring your medical research for 30 years, ensuring you did not develop anything that could threaten human interests. Every breakthrough you thought you made was actually based on principles we guided you toward." She activated a holographic display showing the medical scanners the Veltari had been using. The sophisticated instruments revealed their true nature as human technology disguised to look like alien engineering. "Your people are excellent theorists but poor engineers. We provided the practical applications while letting you believe you were making the discoveries yourselves." Across the galaxy, similar revelations were taking place. Human agents who had worked alongside alien scientists for decades revealed their true nature. Research projects that had taken years to complete were shown to be based on human science. Technological advances that aliens had proudly claimed were demonstrated to be human innovations shared in carefully controlled ways. The psychological impact was devastating. Entire civilizations discovered that their greatest achievements were actually gifts from a species they had considered junior partners. The advanced aliens who had welcomed primitive humans into galactic society learned that they were the primitives. Commander Lim Yunho led the human battle group that intercepted the combined alien fleet attempting to force entry into human space. The massive armada included ships from every major species, their combined firepower representing the greatest military force the galaxy had ever assembled. It was not enough. The human ships moved through space with impossible grace. Their weapons, systems targeting enemy vessels with surgical precision, alien shields that had seemed impenetrable, were penetrated by beams of energy that operated on principles beyond galactic understanding. "This is Commander Lim Yunho to all alien vessels," he broadcast on all frequencies. "You are outmatched and outgunned Surrender now and your crews will be spared. Admiral Korax, commanding what remained of the Gorthak fleet, stared at his tactical displays in disbelief. 8 weeks had passed since humanity cut off all diplomatic contact, and the galaxy that aliens once knew was gone forever. On the bridge of the massive human flagship New Terra, President Park Jisoo stood before a holographic display showing the devastation across known space. The ship itself was a monument to human engineering, its kilometer-long hull bristling with weapon systems that made alien technology look primitive. Madam President, Admiral Lee Taeyang reported, the last alien military resistance was eliminated this morning. The Ethereal Collective has formally surrendered. All major species have agreed to our terms. Park Jisoo nodded slowly. The terms had been simple and non-negotiable. Humanity would establish a new galactic government with themselves as the ruling species. Alien civilizations could join as member states under human oversight or face complete isolation and economic collapse. What about the holdouts? The Nexari Republic is still debating in their telepathic councils, but their food supplies are running dangerously low. The Traders Guild has already agreed to our terms in exchange for restored shipping rights. Only the Gorthak remnant continues to refuse. Through the great windows of the bridge, Park Jisoo could see the Galactic Council station in the distance. The massive structure that had once been the center of alien diplomacy was now under complete human control. Human Marines patrolled its corridors while human engineers retrofitted its systems with proper technology. Chancellor Zephyria had been allowed to remain in her chambers, but only as a symbolic figurehead. Real authority now rested with Director Jang Mira of Human Colonial Affairs, who worked from the new command center installed in the station's core. Bring up the communication array, Park Jisoo ordered. It is time to address the galaxy. The holographic transmitters activated, sending her image to every world in known space. Billions of alien beings watched as the human president spoke from the bridge of her impossible ship. Citizens of the galaxy, she began, her voice carrying across the stars. For 30 years, humanity participated in your Galactic Council as equals. We shared our technology, provided expertise, and helped maintain the peace you all enjoyed. In return, we were treated as useful servants, junior partners who should be grateful for your guidance. Her expression remained calm, but her words carried the weight of absolute authority. That era is over. The galactic government that failed to respect humanity's contributions is dissolved. In its place, we establish the Terran hegemony, with Earth as the capital world and humanity as the guiding species. Across the galaxy, alien populations watched their screens in stunned silence. Many had still hoped this was some elaborate negotiation tactic that would end with a return to the old order. All intelligent species are welcome to join our new government as member states. You will enjoy protection, prosperity, and technological advancement under human leadership. Those who choose isolation will be left alone, but will receive no assistance when their failing systems finally collapse completely. The transmission ended, and immediately the human communication networks lit up with responses. Species after species began requesting terms for joining the Terran hegemony. The alternative was simply too terrible to contemplate. On Althuria Prime, Dr. Vorthak swam through the pristine waters of his home city and marveled at the transformation. Human engineers had arrived 3 days ago and repaired the water purification systems in a matter of hours. But the new systems were far superior to the old ones, incorporating technology that would have taken Althurian science centuries to develop. The humans have offered us partnership in their medical research programs, he explained to the Althurian Council. In exchange for joining their government, we will receive access to healing technologies beyond our wildest dreams. The Council voted unanimously to accept. The alternative was death for their entire species. Similar scenes played out across the galaxy. The Corvin Federation discovered that human agricultural technology could feed their hive worlds more efficiently than their old supply networks ever had. Zaveltari learned that human crystal-growing techniques could enhance their natural abilities beyond anything they had imagined possible. Each species found that cooperation with humanity brought benefits they had never expected, while resistance meant continued suffering and eventual extinction. Admiral Bei Yunji commanded the task force that dealt with the Gorthak remnant. the last holdouts against human authority. The proud reptilian warriors had retreated to their fortress worlds and declared they would rather die than submit to alien rule. "They still think of us as aliens," she mused to her tactical officer as they approached the Gorthak home system. "They have not yet accepted that we are the rightful rulers of this galaxy." The Gorthak defense fleet was impressive by old galactic standards. Hundreds of warships armed with their best weapons technology formed defensive lines around their homeworld. General Korax, promoted after surviving the earlier human demonstration, commanded from his new flagship. "All weapons charged and ready," he announced to his fleet. "Today we show these upstart humans that Gorthak pride cannot be broken." Admiral Bay almost felt sorry for them as she gave the order to attack. The human ships moved through the Gorthak defenses like predators among prey. Advanced energy weapons sliced through alien hulls while human shields absorbed enemy fire without strain. But this time the humans were not content with merely disabling enemy ships. The Gorthak had been given their chance to surrender and had refused. Now they would face the consequences of defying human authority. The battle was over within an hour. The Gorthak fleet was utterly destroyed, their proud warriors dying in the cold vacuum of space. Only General Korax survived, his flagship's bridge modified with a human survival pod that kept him alive to witness his people's defeat. "This is Admiral Bay to the Gorthak homeworld," she broadcast. "Your military has been eliminated. Surrender now or face orbital bombardment of your cities." The response came from the Gorthak High Command bunker deep beneath their capital. "We will never surrender to aliens." Admiral Bay sighed and gave the order. The new Terra's main weapons activated, sending beams of impossible energy down to the planet's surface. But instead of destroying cities, the beams did something far more humbling. They shut down every piece of technology on the planet. Power grids failed. Communications networks went silent. Transportation systems stopped working. Within minutes, the mighty Gorthak civilization was reduced to a pre-industrial society, their people struggling in darkness while human ships controlled the skies above. "This is your final warning," Admiral Bay announced. "Accept human authority, or remain in permanent darkness." The surrender came within hours. Back on the council station, Director Zhang Mira oversaw the integration of alien species into the new galactic order. Her office overlooked the Great Assembly Hall, where alien representatives waited to formally join the Terran hegemony. "The Nexari have agreed to provide telepathic communication services for our intelligence networks," she reported to President Park Jisoo via secure channel. "The Traders Guild will operate under human oversight, with their profits shared with the central government." "What about technological integration?" the president asked. Proceeding faster than expected, most alien species are eager to learn proper engineering techniques to replace the inferior systems they had been using. Our technical teams are establishing training centers on major worlds. The transformation was remarkable. Species that had struggled with failing infrastructure for 2 months were experiencing technological renaissances as human experts shared knowledge that had been held back for decades. Dr. Kim Minji found herself promoted to Director of Xenobiological Research, overseeing medical programs across hundreds of worlds. The Velthari scientists who had once been her colleagues now worked under her direction, grateful for access to human knowledge that revolutionized their understanding of biology. "We never realized how limited our perspective was," Dr. Crystalsong of Dawn admitted. "Human medicine operates on principles we had not even imagined." Captain Choi Hee-sung commanded the new trade monitoring network, her invisible ships ensuring that commerce flowed smoothly under human oversight. The shipping routes that had collapsed during humanity's withdrawal were not only restored but improved with new navigation techniques that cut travel times by half. Professor Oh Min-sok established the new Galactic Historical Institute, where alien scholars learned the true history of their civilizations. The ancient ruins they had puzzled over for generations were revealed to be maintenance stations and communication relays from humanity's first stellar empire. "Your ancestors knew these installations were artificial," he explained to a class of Althurian archaeologists. "But over thousands of generations the knowledge was lost, and they began to think of them as natural wonders." The psychological adjustment, was difficult for many species. Learning that their greatest achievements were actually rediscovered human technology was humbling, but the benefits of joining the Terran hegemony soon outweighed the damage to alien pride. Commander Nam Ji-woo established the new Galactic Defense Force, incorporating alien military units into a unified command structure under human leadership. Former enemies worked together,